Good afternoon. I'll call to order the meeting of the New Ulm Public Utilities Commission for November of 2018. First item on the agenda is to review the minutes from the last regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held October 23rd, 2018.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? All in favor of approving the minutes of the regular meeting from October 23, 2018, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item is to receive our utility part report from Rod Marshall.
Thank you. Just wanted to go over some of the safety performance. I have reports. Well, I'll start out with first, the director's report is now unified to be a report for the month of October. There aren't any forward forecasting with the exception of the safety report. There were 4 incidents, 1 in September, 3 in October. No lost time, and 1 is a recordable at this point. So we had a person that tripped on the stairs. They're doing fine. No near misses. In terms of utility locates, we had about 275 locates in each of the primary segments. Service calls, 58 service calls on natural gas, water and steam 2, and electric 6. Something that I think is interesting to note, the water system produced about 55 million gallons, and the wastewater system treated about 76 million gallons. Some folks might ask, where'd the difference come from, right? It's a difference in the waste stream and what it collects, so just wanted to point that out. We're within variances and plan for wastewater, water. One thing I'd like to point out is service. Greg Keene has served for 24 years. I'd like to show appreciation for Greg. He's not here this evening, but Dan, if you don't mind showing our appreciation for Greg. Thank you. Next is the variance coloration in the monthly report. There's a online, the variance colors did not transmit well. So there's a packet in front of you that shows the colors, and the general idea is that in section 2, which shows the separate funds, electric, district energy, natural gas, water, wastewater, and administrative fund, green is a positives earning variance of 30% or more. Blue is a positive earning variance between 10 and 29%. Things that are white show a variance of 0 to 9%. Pink is a negative cost over planned budget of 10 to 29%, and red is a negative cost over planned budget by 30%. So the general idea is that we've colored those portions in the monthly budget that fall into those categories. So for all public utilities, the first page behind it shows blue under outside utility revenue. The planned budget was 1.085 million, and the year-to-date actual is 1,215. Additionally, interest revenue planned was 344. Actual to date is 557. Similarly, the other monthly reports include the same variance reporting. Any questions? Thank you.
I'll make a motion to receive and order filed the report regarding monthly utility operations.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. See, now into new business. We need to consider a resolution regarding our schedule of fees. And,
You skip.
I'm sorry, what did I skip?
It's
Uh-huh.
Nate.
Sorry. Before new business, we have a report from the IT department supervisor.
Thank you. Good evening, President Heine, Commissioners. In first part of October, we had a network risk assessment. Probably it's better called a security audit, but done by SBS Cybersecurity, and they're our cybersecurity partnership partner. The audit is part of this process, and it involved quite a few steps with them reviewing our documentation, our procedures, and there was also a component where they brought equipment in and put it on our network and did a bunch of testing. The evaluation of security was done both on the inside of our network and the outside of the network, and they were able to produce a report that gave us a pretty good idea where our security is for our network, and both externally and internally. As you saw in your agenda packet, there were some findings, and so that's kind of the purpose of what I'm here to talk to you about now. They were able to find 3 high-risk items, 6 medium-risk items, and 8 low-risk items. It's kind of like what Rod's been doing with your packets with the red, green, blue, or green, yellow, and red indicators. This is the same sort of idea. So you have the high risk, which are things that really need immediate attention, or have a very high risk with there's an attacker would need minimum effort to get data from our network. The medium risk is things that take more effort but are very possible, and low risk is things that are either a small risk or the costs to mitigate those risks are higher than the actual risk of loss. So probably the one thing when everyone sees these reports, they want to know right away what the red items were, what the 3 high risk items were. During their testing, they did phishing testing. That was one of the red or the high risk items. They were able to trick 25 employees into disclosing login information. They also did telephone phishing, and where they actually called up departments and tried to get them to disclose information. They were able to trick 1 employee into visiting a fake phishing site. They were also able to perform, this is a real technical term, LLMNR poisoning attack, and that stands for Link Local Multicast Name Resolution. It's a technical capability computers have to talk to each other on the network. It was a misconfiguration, and that actually has been, we've changed those settings, and we will be retesting to make sure that we've closed up that security hole. As far as the data disclosure from employees, it is a concern. However, when I spoke with them, they said that was actually pretty normal. What we had were very normal results. Normally when we do this kind of testing, employees see something that looks like it comes from Wells Fargo or from FedEx or some outside vendor. This time we tested by using we actually used Nicole's. We made it look like it came from Nicole, so it looked like it came from the finance department, and another set of employees got an email that looked like it came from Shauna from HR. And so it was very, very sophisticated, which is also how a determined attacker would attack us. And when you see something from a coworker, especially someone who you would normally interact with, it's pretty easy to get taken in by that. Also with the telephone calls, also very common for employees to get tricked by that. And actually our employees did really well. Of the 5 calls that they made, 4 of them sent them directly to me. They said, well, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to have you talk with our IT department. And they sent them on to me. The one employee that was tricked, they picked up on it after a short time and said, you know, I think you need to talk to IT about this, and they forwarded them to me as well. So they performed very well, and the vast majority of our employees did pass the test. So that's a good thing. We don't have a large number of people being tricked by these things. So in regards to mitigating that risk, our training will continue. We'll probably change our training a little bit to make it more effective. And there's some other things we can do to make it more obvious to employees that something might not be right with some emails. Of the 6 medium risk items, for the most part, those are technical changes that we need to make on the network. There are things where, you know, for instance, we don't have multi-factor authentication on our email. So when employees access our email externally, they only need a username and password. They recommended implementing a second factor, a 2-factor authentication. Insecure software on our network, you know, things like that they were able to find. Low risk items involve things like the length of our passwords and monitoring that we do for remote access of vendors and a few other things. So we're already working on resolving the items that we found. They gave us a very comprehensive list. So we're evaluating how best to train users and help them avoid phishing. We're already changing configurations where we found we need to make those changes. Default accounts are being changed on the network that they found where things hadn't been changed from when they were put in brand new. We're continuing to patch and eliminate old software. And we're also planning for additional changes. The 2-factor authentication was an example of some of the things that we're planning on changing. Many of these changes were already planned for 2019 in the budgeting cycle. So we already have plans for implementing the solutions for them. A lot of the things that they pointed out to us, we don't need to spend any money. They just require a change of a configuration or, in some cases, additional training. In a few cases also policy and procedural changes. So again, this is a point-in-time audit, meaning the network has already changed since they did this test. You know, employees come and go, new services get implemented, and there's just changes that happen. And also this audit didn't look at any of the services where vendors house our data for us. So anything that would be, I guess what people call in the cloud. More and more our vendors ask us to do a subscription with them, and they house our data for us. So that is an area that we have not evaluated, and we need to take more time to evaluate how they treat our data and how they ensure the security of the data. Yeah, so that is basically the summarization of what they found. The report that I have from them has a great deal of confidential information, but it is something I can share with you individually if that is something that you would like to review. I can provide a copy for that if you would like to request that. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
Okay, thank you.
I'll offer the motion to accept and order filed the report on the findings from the IT network risk assessment.
Second.
Any discussion of the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll talk about new business. And a resolution, consider resolution to address our schedule of fees. And is Chris
Okay,
presenting that?
this is an item that's brought to you usually every year about this time. We have a schedule of fees and charges which basically lists out some of our charges to internally as well as external charges. Attached to the agenda item is the actual schedule of fees and charges, and the items in red are what have been changed. The majority of the changes are either to reflect inflationary increases or to better clarify the costs. Most of them on here are pretty self-explanatory. We did add some verbiage to the administrative in general. We wanted to include let everyone know that sales tax was included in some of the fees. We also had to change the interest rate that would be charged on the water service replacement funding program. The electric department increased some of the residential, non-commercial services. They increased the costs. Most of them were increased by about $50. That's just to get closer to what the cost to install those services are. We also added a notation. We have a combined service billing with Nuvera and Comcast. That's a separate schedule, but we wanted to indicate that we do have that schedule, so that was put on the schedule of fees and charges. And one item to note, water and wastewater. The water infrastructure fee on the utility bills will be increasing. That's going to be going from $4 to $4.75 per meter. And we also added the leachate treatment rate. That's a new rate, so we added that on here as well. So if you approve these will be published in the next 30 days and would become effective January 1st of 2019.
And as you said, we review this every year. This is not, as opposed to at the last meeting, it was reported that we're considering rate increases. That's it.
Yeah, this is a separate schedule. These are not the utility rates that are on here. This is for construction projects. So if we install service lines, things like that. Yep.
Anyone else have any questions?
I'll offer the motion to adopt a resolution and waive the reading approving the 2019 PUC schedule of fees and charges to be effective January 1st, 2019.
Second.
You need to call the roll?
Commissioner Fingland?
Yes.
Commissioner Hillesheim?
Yes.
Commissioner Shaunis?
Yes.
President Heine?
Yes. And resolution passes. Next is to consider an AEP Energy Partners contract. Chris is presenting that?
Yep. This is, we have a contract right now with AEP Energy Partners. That contract was presented to the commission at the January 26, 2016 meeting, and was signed on April 25th of 2016. And that capacity contract was for years June 2019 through May 2022, and there was a second contract which was for June 2022 through May 2025. They were each at different rates per megawatt month, and it was a contract to sell excess capacity off of our number 5 and number 7 gas turbines. It was 30 megawatts that we had contracted with them. Part of the second contract was a language within that contract that talked about the Clean Power Act, and the Clean Power Act is no longer an issue, and so AEP contacted us to ask if we would be interested in taking that language out of the contract and just making sure that the contract would in fact be in effect. In negotiations with them, it was brought to them that we would agree to do that, but we were looking to maybe extend the contract out for another 5 years, which would be from June 2025 through May 2030. They came back and were in agreement, and so what this contract is it basically replaces the 2 contracts that we signed earlier, and it's one contract for the entire term, which would be from June 2019 through May 2030. And it's to sell 30 megawatts of capacity off of number 5 and 7. The first contract, or the first time period, we would be selling that at $2,850 per megawatt month. The second term, which is June 2022 to May 2025, we would be selling 30 megawatts at 3,150 megawatts per month, and that is the same as the last two contracts. And the additional term would be from June 2025 to May 2030, and that would be at $3,000 per megawatt month. This contract, again, will replace the contract that we have with Xcel Energy, where we are selling 25 megawatts for $1,350 a megawatt month. So it is a significant increase in revenue. The additional 5 years, I believe, will generate an additional $5,400,000 for the utility. So the action item is to have you approve it pending approval by the attorneys. I believe the Assistant City Attorney sent me an indication that he was fine with the contract as it stands. So if it's approved tonight, I will contact AEP tomorrow, see where they're at, but we would be looking to sign those contracts when they're through with them. So.
Can you tell me why there's different amounts for the different years?
That's just how it was negotiated. When you're going out that far, sometimes they're not willing to, tie into one particular amount.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I'll offer the motion to approve an offer and sign contracts pending final approval by attorneys between New Ulm Public Utilities and AEP Energy Partners, Inc. to purchase 30 megawatts of excess capacity from the utilities number 5 and number 7 gas turbines from June 1st, 2019 through May 31st, 2030.
I'll second.
Is there any other discussion or questions about the motion?
I have one question. So this is excess capacity. If we need that capacity to service our own community, we have first right to it.
Yes, this is capacity, not spinning reserve. So it's simply like having a car parked in the garage that nobody has the keys to. It doesn't require us to generate anything.
Okay.
So,
And we feel pretty good about the long term of this.
I think we feel very good, particularly with the price and the extension. We think that this looks very favorable for us, particularly compared to the Xcel contract.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we need to consider amending the contract on the Heinen Hill construction project.
Dan Perseg will be presenting.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, this would be to amend the contract from what we originally did. We had planned on just grass seeding the hill, but due to the excessive rains over the summer, it blew out multiple times and a different solution had to be found. So I took and talked to the city manager at the time, and he gave us the go-ahead to go ahead and switch to riprap. And now the bills are all coming in. Since we switched to riprap, we've had no more problems. It has stayed put. We haven't had to clean anything up in front of the hospital or Fifth North.
Can you explain what riprap is?
Angular crushed rock. You know, you see it in ditch banks. It's erosion control rocks. They specifically call it out to be angular, so it'll interlock together, so the water has a hard time washing it away. Some of the round rocks, they can get to start tumbling, and they'll just go right down the hill also.
All right, I'll offer the motion amending the contract for construction services for the Heinen Hill Slope Stabilization Project with M&R Paving and Excavating Incorporated from the amount of $143,927.29 to $159,023.15 for the addition of riprap and fabric for soil stabilization and authorizing the city manager to sign the contract documents.
I'll second.
Any more discussion on the motion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Dan. Then is Mr. Persig presenting the next
He is.
agenda item on power system engineering contract proposal. Yeah.
This proposal is to fix a relay project, a protection plan that had never been fully implemented when they designed it about 10 years ago. Due to an outage last year, the outage was July 31st of last year. We discovered that this was never completed. They were planning a scheme that is not typically applied. We now would like to switch it to the 387L relay, which is designed for this line protection. What the line protection between these two substations is looking for as we're feeding power back and forth, if it has a large differential, it'll trip out. The plan that they had, the differential would pretty much have to go to 0 before it would trip out and protect the hardware. So this is just a more sensitive, faster acting, so we hopefully won't lose everybody. When this event happened and this misoperated, we ended up having the hospital down for an extended period of time and lost all the feeders coming out of the power plant at that time. So the idea here is this will drop out quicker and hopefully not take everything. We did have generation at the time, and if with the new plan, we probably wouldn't have lost the hospital, the water plant, or any other critical infrastructure. So if there's other questions.
So it looks like we budgeted 25,000 for this?
Yeah, and that was just a very preliminary budget number that we put in last year. It's coming in a little bit more than that, as you can see, but it is a planned project, and there's maintenance budget left through the power production department to make up the difference.
Okay. All right, then I'll offer the motion authorizing the city manager to accept and sign the proposal for the development of plans, specifications, project oversight, and the relay procurement from Power System Engineering Incorporated, PSE, at an estimated cost of $32,130.
I'll second.
Is there any more discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is to consider approving a general wage adjustment.
Hello, Shauna Boomgarden, Human Resources Director. Thank you, President Heine and Commissioners. I'm here. I met with the PUC Personnel Committee a couple weeks ago, recommending a 2.2% wage increase for all full-time PUC employees effective January 1st, 2019. Our increase this year for the IBEW union is also 2.2%. And last week, the City Council also approved a 2.2% increase for all non-union city employees. So I'm recommending that so that it's the same amount throughout the city and its uniform. So if anybody has any questions about that.
I'll offer the motion approving a general wage adjustment of 2.2% for full-time PUC employees to be effective January 1st, 2019.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to consider payment of the administrative fee for arbitration. Rod, do you want to present that, or?
Certainly. I'd like you to consider authorizing a payment of an administrative fee for arbitration services of $4,400 to the American Arbitration Association. It's based on pending arbitration.
And the commissioners were advised and informed about this issue during a meeting in closed session yesterday.
I'll offer the motion authorizing payment of the administrative fee for arbitration services of $4,400 to the American Arbitration Association.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of paying the arbitration administration fee indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Looks like you're presenting regarding
I am.
hands-on training.
Yes. So, a couple of basic facts behind this. As we move forward into January, it appears that we're going to be losing our substation technician to retirement. We had an individual that was planned to backfill for him and has separated employment from the organization. It leaves us in a situation where our level of expertise with respect to relays and protective relays is compromised to an extent. I'm looking to go train and try to shore up that gap in our understanding and support the electric organization in terms of the electric operations inside the substations. SEL is a Schweitzer Electronic, I think it's Electronic Laboratories. They have a number, or are responsible for producing about half of the relays that we have in service. And this is an introductory course to start to gain a background in how they operate. And my intention is to use this in management of both the studies and the replacement of some of the relaying issues that we have inside our existing substations.
I'll offer the motion authorizing attendance at the hands-on introduction to SEL relays training class to be held in Lakewood, Colorado on February 26th through the 27th, 2019.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of authorizing the training indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Finally, we just need to consider the list of claims paid and to be paid.
I'll offer the motion to accept the list of claims paid in the amount of $2,809,402.30 and approve the list of claims to be paid in the amount of $355,151.89.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to accept the list of claims paid and list of claims to be paid indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Unless we have anything else.
You need a motion to adjourn at the end.
Oh, yes, thank you. We need to consider adjourning to December 26, 2018 for our next meeting. I believe, what is it, Christmas Day would be the normal meeting
Yes.
time?
I'll offer the motion to adjourn to December 26, 2018 at 4:30 p.m. due to the Christmas holiday.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are adjourned.